Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. My name is Christopher Chichester. This is Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clark. Every word I say here on this YouTube, I will send to Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark at the United States Department of Justice. I'll send her every YouTube that I've done, which is 90 plus, with the transcript. And I'll send this to you too. Sheriff Baxter, District Attorney Doorley, and Alex Renzi, and Paul C. Metzer and James P. Jr. in Penfield Town Court. So, the biography for Kristen Clark at the Department of Justice, which I used to ride my bike by when I worked in Washington, D.C. Kristen Clark is the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, U.S. Department of Justice. In this role, she leads the Justice Department's broad federal civil rights enforcement efforts and works to uphold the civil and constitutional rights of all who live in America. I don't have civil and constitutional rights, which I'll tell in detail Kristen Clark. You know, it's the confirmation I don't have civil and constitutional rights. I've been in jail 6 times. A prosecutor's never talked in court, and I've never heard Miranda. You, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley, know about the 1966 United States Supreme Court decision, Miranda versus Arizona, where the fanatical cops where he lived smashed his civil and constitutional rights into a million little pieces. So I continue with the biography for Assistant Attorney General Clark, and she has a distinguished career. Ms. Clark worked on cases defending the constitutionality of the Voting Rights Act, presented oral arguments to the D.C. District Court in Shelby County, Alabama versus Holder, and has provided testimony in federal and state voting rights legislation. In 2011, she was named head of the Civil Rights Bureau for the New York State Attorney General's office, where she led broad civil rights enforcement actions. I'm glad she has that connection to New York, because I'm a New Yorker. And perhaps you'll understand the fanaticism of this state, where 2 governors in less than 15 years resigned in disgrace. So I continue with her biography. Under her leadership, the Bureau secured landmark agreements with banks to address unlawful redlining, employees to address barriers to reentry for people with criminal backgrounds, police departments on reforms to policing practices, major retailers on racial profiling, consumers, landlords, discriminating housing practices, school districts concerning issues related to school-to-prison pipeline, and more. In 2015, Ms. Clark was named President and Executive Director for Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under the law, one of the nation's leading civil rights organizations founded at the request of John F. Kennedy. There, she led organizations' legal work in courts across the country, addressing some of the nation's most complex racial justice and civil rights challenges. Assistant Attorney General Clark was born in Brooklyn, New York. After graduating from Choate Rosemary Law School, after graduating from Choate Rosemary Hall, she received her AB from Harvard University and JD from Columbia University. So this is a New Yorker, a distinguished New Yorker that I'll contact. I'm confident you'll conclude that you've obliterated my rights. The obliteration of my rights in my life is right here. These trash bags are what's left of my life because of an illegal eviction by my psychopath father-son landlord, Giuseppe Spano, and Antonino Spano, where the son, Giuseppe Spano, is now dead. And I hope hell's 5,000 degrees for him. I own nothing. This is what's left of my life. They just locked the doors and locked me out. I have the same protections as a tenant with a lease. And I've lived without a lease in Albany for 5 years and in Washington, D.C. for 5 years. And what I didn't have is a psychopath landlord. This is what's left of my life because of you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley, and you, Alex Renzi, on New York State Supreme Court, and Paul C. Metzer and John P. Jr. and James P. Jr. in Penfield Town Court. So I have a UPS box, and this is the key. Now, the Freedom of Information Law documents that are attached do not have the current date. And I would have went to the library in either Brighton or Rochester, and I didn't because it's raining. And I really am astonished at how much it rains in Monroe County and Rochester in the last 12 months. But I'm not going outside today, and I'm at this loft that I'm in Rochester, where I now live, because of the rain. I can't go all the way into Brighton because of the rain. And I can't go to the UPS store on Park Avenue because of the rain. But this is it. The UPS box Now, even though it does not have the current date, and I believe I will read every Freedom of Information law, I haven't decided yet, but this is the address you can contact me when you're thinking he needs to be arrested. How can we arrest him? That's exactly what you're thinking, because you know, you disgusting, sickening psychopaths, Sandra, Doorley, and Todd Baxter, all it takes is one judge without a prosecutor, without a jury, and there I am in jail again. I did not know, despite my employment in Albany for the majority leading governor for 7 years, that one judge could sentence the defendant to jail. That's the lunatic range. And the 212 members of the state legislature need to reform that disgusting, sick law that empowers fanatical judges like Alex Renzi and John Pilomenzo Jr., Paul C. Metzer, and James Minelli Jr., where they're operating, where they have total control over defendant's life without a prosecutor talking in court, without a jury verdict, without any witness testimony that a crime's been committed. That's an abomination for one judge to sentence a defendant to jail. And you don't think it's an abomination, Todd Baxter, Sandra, Doorley, Alex Renzi, Paul C. Metzer, and James Minelli Jr., because you're corrupt. Right here. 620 Park Avenue, PNB, number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. Send me this information. And I'm not asking. Now, this is the receipt from, this says, I'm going to point to this with the official finger of Brooklyn, New York, which I used to communicate with you. This says 29 November 2022. What I'm going to read here, again, and it's attached, and I have to check the number, 183 here. Right here, this is 183 Freedom of Information Law documents that I have sent to you since October 16th. And you refuse to comply with all 183. I do not know how many will I attach in this email I sent to you. And I don't know if I'm going to use Gmail, Proton Mail, or some other email to communicate with you. There's 183 Freedom of Information Law documents that you received either email or you're signing for it. And you refuse to comply with every one. So here, what I sent to you from Park Avenue, where this says Alex Renzi and 99 Exchange, where this says James Minelli Jr. 1985 Bad Road, which just says Paul C. Metzer 1985 Bad Road, which just says Sandra Doorley 47 South Fitzhugh, and this says Todd Baxter at 130 South Plymouth Avenue. These 5 receipts here from UPS have this Freedom of Information Law document. There are 24 in here that's dated November 28th. Now, Todd Baxter, what I'm demanding, I have demanded for 18 months is how much money you paid for this fucking contraption. What's this called, Todd Baxter? Because I was on it. That's called a surveillance device. Elliot Roth, who works at this business, this is 2025 Penfield Road. Is that private technology at your business called Consumer Insights? Or this psychopath Todd Baxter and his fellow psychopaths come to 2025 Penfield Road and install it? I believe that you installed it, and I could be incorrect, but that's what I'm going to tell. What do you think I'm going to tell? Who do you think I'm going to tell that you installed this, Todd Baxter, for me and walk to a parking lot? Who do you think I'm going to tell that you, Todd K. Baxter, installed a surveillance device for me for 2025 Penfield Road for walk through a parking lot because of $67,000 cop from Hell Shannon Meyer? Who do you think I'm going to tell this is what you did? And Regina Harper showed me the images from this thing. Figure out the best lie, decide on the best lie, because you, Todd K. Baxter, are drenched in lies, and so are your fellow psychopaths. I will tell Kristen Clark, you, Todd Baxter, bought and affixed with taxpayer dollars that surveillance device to 2025 Penfield Road to nail me to the wall and concoct the crime for me and walk through a parking lot 4,000 times. So, now, not only do I communicate with you using UPS, and I'm going to read these cards, register mail, return receipt, I sent this email. This email is chris.chichester7@proton.mail. I use it one time. I make sure it goes through, and then I print it out. Now, what I'm going to read to you, here's the email addresses for every individual that I seek to communicate. Because Paul Metzer, this metzer.penfield@gmail.com, and I also use your Penfield Town Court emails, which is pmetzel@monroecounty.gov. Now, Mark Phillips of the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, Regina Harper, and Jamie Bellion of Pretrial Services Corporation. I'm home done with you because the Psychopaths Incorporated. Here are your email addresses right here. Now, where I write to you on November 28, Todd K. Baxter, Sandra, Doorley, comply with the attached PDF Freedom of Information Law document dated November 28, 2022, and mail the information I demand to the address listed in the United States Parcel Service. So here it is, where I have, this is called corruptible, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Alex Renzi, delusion and denial, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi, 0, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, Judge Alex Renzi. The reason why, and I think about what I'm going to call it, because it's directly linked to what you are, and what you are is corrupt. 0, the reason why I call that 0 is because I have 183 here in my hand, and you refuse to comply with all 183. And what I have to do when I use Gmail, this is a new phone, is I buy a new phone, and I can create a Gmail account because now you need a phone number. And when I have a new phone number, I can get a new Gmail account, and you can't block me. That's why I have multiple Gmail addresses, because I buy a phone, I create a Gmail account, which now you need a code. That's different. So I'm doing everything possible to reach you and communicate with you and tell you that you're repulsive, disgusting, sick, and you need to be removed from office, and I'm demanding information from you. I'm not asking. When there's language in this Freedom of Information Law that's a question, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you in the form of a question to send this information to me. And where should you send this information? Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. That's the UPS box. So I opened up these trash bags and have only clothes left. That's all I have. I don't have a couch. I don't have my books. Every single thing is gone because of you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley. Now, what I'm going to read, these are the cards that come back to me. What I'm going to read, this is Todd Baxter. I'm going to read these green cards for Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, Alex Renzi, Paul C. Metzler, and James McMillan Jr., the dates, and I'm going to read the signature. Because everything I've said on these Freedom of Information Laws documents, you signed for, where I'm demanding information. And what I'm demanding is tied to what's happened to me, and that's the obliteration of my life and the violation of my civil and constitutional rights. So I hope you say the name of the person that signed for it, because everything I've said here, you signed for. Todd K. Baxter, M. Farrelly, September 20, 2022. Todd K. Baxter, L-N-E-R-C-A-D-A. I don't even know that. This is your corruption, you repulsive hack. Tell your employees to sign their names when citizens are communicating with you. I would sign for information in the New York State Capitol, Senate Russell Office Building, the House Rayburn Building. If I happened to be standing there when somebody arrived, I would sign my name and print my name. And I was thinking, my name needs to be legible. That's not you. Tell your employees to sign your name in a professional way. And that's not a minor thing, because I don't know who signed for this on September 21, L-A-N-E-R-C-A-D-A. Who the hell's that, Todd Baxter? Now, this person knows how to do it. Kelly Hagenbush, September 22nd at the sheriff's office. I don't know who this person is at the sheriff's office on September 26th. That's a scribble. You can see that. This is what you're doing, Todd Baxter. When citizens, the franchise, communicates with you, you can't even make out the signature for your employees. Why is that, Todd Baxter? It's not a minor thing. This is Lucy, P-A-W-U-K, on September 27th, so I can make out that name. This is just M-F. I don't know what the hell that is. September 29th for you, you party-switching skinhead and stooge. Here's Todd Baxter's L-P-A-W-E-K. How many people do you have there at Jonestown, 130 South Plymouth Avenue? M. Farrelly, Todd Baxter, October 3rd. M. Farrelly, Todd Baxter, October 4th. This is S. Nettles, I think, October 8th. M. Farrelly again, Todd Baxter, 10:15. M. Farrelly again, 10:22. This is R. Pratt, 10:28. Here is again Kelly Hagenbush, Kelly Hagenbach, 10:29. This is, I don't know what this is. This is again, I don't know what that scrawl is, but that's that doesn't have a date. Your employees not only scrawled on here, didn't even put the date. This is Todd Baxter. This is M. Farrelly, but without the date. This is, I think, now this is you, Sandra Doorley. Every single one I'm going to read until I get to Alex Renzi and Paul C. Metro and James C. Mully Jr. This is just RSF. So who the hell is that, Sandra Doorley? This is R. Smith. That one was on September 20th, and on September 22nd, you got R. Smith. This is Ron C. Sheeta. I can't make that out. September 23rd. This is R. Smith again, September 26th. For you, Sandra Doorley, this is R. Smith again, September 28th. This is R. Smith again, September 30th. This just says DISATTN. Who at DIST, pardon me, ATTN signed for this on October 3rd? Can you tell me the answer to that? DISTATTN Doorley? You entrenched in corruption, you pathetic diva, and you don't even know it. I'm sure you think that you could run for higher office. You've even thought about that. You don't even know who you are. I have to tell you who you are, you pathetic diva. District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Here we go again with just DISTATTNY, and it says RSP, and that's on October 11th. Here's R. Smith again. That's October 17th. And this is S. Brimagenha. That's what it reads. That's what it sounds like when I'm looking at that. That's September 25th. I don't know who that is. This just says again, DISTATTNY on September 28th. Here's again R. Smith on, that was October 28th. This is October 31st, R. Smith. This is JGUTT without the date. This just says RSP. This is, and that doesn't have a date. This says RSP again, that doesn't have a date. And this is Alex Renzi now. Everything I'm going to read, I think I read at least 10 of you, District Attorney Sandra. Well, what am I doing? I'm demanding information, including the names of my prosecutors of silence. You pathetic diva. You better tell me their names, because I'll seek the disbarment at the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court, including your disbarment, Sandra Doorley. Alex Renzi, this is on September 22nd. We're demanding a list of his defendants, and he's refusing. September 22nd. I'm demanding a list of his defendants, the 70-year-old gray-haired hack who's in there with 23% of the vote and has been there since 2009. He doesn't even know what's going on, which I said to him in his courtroom. I said to Alex Renzi, where's the jury? Where's the prosecutor? And he looked at me with hatred, which I was trying to do to him. When I go into court now, I'm trying to provoke people like Alex Renzi. I'm trying to get that hatred out of him right out in the open, and that's what he did to me. And I'm going to go into detail more about him, which is commanding me to be in his courtroom to send me to Monroe County Jail. The last time I was in jail, I thought I was finished and done. I wasn't. I got the slip in the mail, him demanding me one person to be in court, and there I am in Monroe County Jail. I went for my temporary residence. I got this letter, and there I'm in jail again because of what I'm doing to you on YouTube, in all likelihood. Alex Renzi, this is Victoria Kushner on September 22nd, 2022. This is M. Akins, Alex Renzi, September 26, 2022. This is M. Akins, September 27, 2022. I cannot make out that name. I don't know what that is. That's Alex Renzi. I cannot read that name. It's Megan something, perhaps September 28th. Again, Megan something, Alex Renzi, September 29th, the very next day. This is K. Rodwell, September 30th for Alex Renzi. How many? Is these his clerks? Does he have 3 clerks? I will contact him and ask him, one, does he have clerks, and how many are these just court employees? And he'll refuse to answer. And I'm going to demand from Alex Renzi if he pays his court employees and if they're clerks. Same thing with you, Paul C. Metro and James C. Mully Jr. This is, again, M. Akins on October 3rd for Alex Renzi. I cannot make out that signature for Alex Renzi on October 4th. I cannot make out that signature for Alex Renzi on October 6th. This is Nicholas Sprague on October 12th for Alex Renzi. This is M. Mykins, Mykins, M-Y-K-N-S, October 17th for Alex Renzi. And this is an interesting name for Alex Renzi here, Todd Baby, because this says Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York. And it says Cheryl L. Baxter, October 25th, 2022. In all seriousness, I've been demanding from you, Todd Baxter, the state of nepotism at your sheriff's office and how many of your employees are related. I'm not talking about husband and wife. I'm talking about a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee who wants to get his brother-in-law a job. A Monroe County Sheriff Office employee who wants to get their children jobs. Because I believe in the last page of the payroll, your 15-plus employees that have paid $10,000 and $12,000 are minors. And I've said this repeatedly on YouTube, but not in writing. Do you have minors at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? 1, Todd Baxter, and 2, Todd Baxter. Do you have Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that are minors and related to your employees. Kathleen Miller's a $34,000 employee. Andrew Mills paid $77,000. On the payroll is Camille Miller for $12,000. Is Camille Miller the daughter of Kathleen Miller and Andrew Miller? Andrew Miller and Kathleen Miller married? I don't know. Is Camille Miller the daughter of Kathleen Miller and Andrew Miller? I don't know. But tell me the answer, Todd Baxter, and the state of nepotism. And this is what I'm going to tell Controller Thomas B. DiNapoli about you. To audit you as far as nepotism and relationships at that repulsive, disgusting criminal Monroe County Sheriff's Office, where you don't know you're repulsive, disgusting, and criminal. Todd K. Baxter. Alex Renzi again, M. Mikens, October 28th. K. Rockwell, October 31st. I can't make out that signature. I didn't even date it for Alex Renzi. Again, I can't make out that signature. I think this is in November. K. Rockwell, no signature, no date. Now this is Penfield Town Court, James Family Jr., where I'm demanding a list of defendants, James Family Jr., in front of you. September 23rd. Are you in the vicinity of 70? Are you past 70 with that gray hair? James Family Jr.? You look like you're about to fall over and pass out when I look at your picture, James Family Jr., and I will demand your personal finances. Todd Baxter, Sandra, Doorley, Alex Renzi, and James Family Jr., Paul C. Metzer, which I've done previously and refused. That's not in any of these freedom of information laws because thinking about how I want to write the language that you refuse to comply with. Kristen Chapansky, September 23rd. Who's in front of you, James Family Jr.? Everybody's guilty, right? L.C. Voigt, September 27th, James Family Jr. Kristen Chapansky again, September 30th. James Family Jr. Kristen Chapansky again, September 30th. Kristen Chapansky again, September 30th, because I'm getting different information. That's why it's the same date. L.C. Voigt, October 5th for James Family Jr. K.S. James Family Jr. October 12th, James Family Jr., Kristen Chapansky again, October 25th. Every time I read your name, James Family Jr., I'm demanding a list of defendants in front of you and you're refusing to comply. Are you going to tell Kristen Clark, United States Department of Justice, or Attorney General Merrick Garland, people that report to him, United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, Trinity Ross, that you refuse to comply to? And the answer is yes, because you're corrupt. James Family Jr., L.C. Wright, October 31st, James Family Jr. again. It's not dated. L.C. Boyd signed. This is Paul C. Metzer, Christian Chapansky. On September 23rd, 2022, I demanded a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court. This is what I received, which I did not open because I'll be nauseated and sickened by it. I don't want to be in that frame of mind. But this is not a list of defendants. I didn't open it. You can see. Did not open it. It looks a little broken there, but that's not open. I did not read it. This is not a list of defendants, Paul C. Metzer and James Family Jr. I will open this, and I'll read it. And I'll laugh. And you're probably in here telling me and threatening me you're going to arrest me and do something to me, too, which I'm looking forward to reading that language. I hope you're threatening me in that envelope. I really do. Paul C. Metzer, Christmas Span, September 23rd. Paul C. Metzer again, September 27th, where I'm demanding a list of defendants. September 29th, where I'm demanding a list of defendants. Christopher Chapansky again, September 30th, where I'm demanding a list of defendants. L.C. Vega, October 31st, where I'm demanding a list of defendants. Christian Chapansky again, October 31st, where I'm demanding a list of defendants and other information that day. L.C. Voigt, Paul C. Metzer, October 5th. Christian Chapansky, October 11th, demanding a list of defendants. L.C. Voigt again, October 25th. October 28th, Christian Chapansky for Paul C. Metzer. And then I'm back to M. Fowley with Todd Baxter. You refuse to comply every single time. You refuse to comply. Even though you signed for it, a stack of Freedom of Information Law documents, you refuse to comply. The cost of a surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter and affixed to a building at 2025 Penfield Road to monitor Christopher Chichester, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, walks through the parking lot next to the building. Why do you think I could state that without looking at any notes and just looking right at the camera? Because I've written that over and over and over, and you refuse to comply. Is this private technology, 2025 Penfield Road, or did you buy it and affix it, you skinhead, party-switching, stooge, and criminal and fascist Todd Baxter? You need to get a balcony at that Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd baby, just like Mussolini had in Italy. And then you could go out on your balcony and you can scream like a psychopath before your subjects, because that's a perfect role for you. So, I will tell Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, I'll send this YouTube when I have the transcripts done. Every time I've been on YouTube, I've been getting a transcript done. I'm in the process of doing that right now. And I'm backing up. I will send you the disk. I will send you a hard drive, a disk that you can watch me just not on my channel, because I'm not talking to you even though I use your names. This is who I've been talking to the whole time. This woman right here. I looked up her name before I got on YouTube the first time more than 2 years ago. And I don't know if it was her or it was somebody else, but this is her now. This office, I went right to these because I knew there was an office for civil rights, but she's there now. And I thought, when I get to YouTube, this is who I'm talking to. And at the time, Governor Andrew Cuomo and Trinity Ross. I don't know if she was there for 2 years ago, but I knew there was the United States Attorney for Western District Attorney. As you know, those are political appointed, and Republican. And when Republicans control the White House and Democrats control the White House, that really has an impact on who's going to be the United States Attorney. So these individuals I have not contacted yet. Kristen Clark, I haven't contacted yet. Trinity Ross, I haven't contacted yet. Governor Kathy Hochul and Andrew Cuomo, before I haven't contacted yet. But I will. How is this possibly explained, Todd Baxter? When I went outside to tell Steve Desmond, Brock Cole, Tree, and Walker, nobody owns the land next to my residence, and walk into my residence, then I see Shannon Meyer run into my backyard and fall down on her face, this pathetic hack that began the destruction of my life. Shannon Meyer, to $67,000, can't even stand on 2 feet. She's falling down in my backyard dirt. Put the handcuffs on me. You took me to Monroe County Jail. You put me into some room. You handcuffed me inside the room. I couldn't reach the urinal. I urinated on myself for the first time because of you, Todd Baxter, because I've urinated on myself when I was handcuffed in other places. Your employees came to me with a phone just like this one. He had this gruesome smile on his face. He said to me, I want to show you something. And there I was outside my residence, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, on his phone with video footage from this camera. That's a surveillance device. That's how I know my right arm was moving. The lunatic fringe. This all started upon me with this Nayrod Shah screaming at me for walking through a parking lot that he knows people walk through all day long, including my excellent friend Adam, who used to live next to me in Penfield, and his mother and father, the elderly woman across the street. There are people that walk through that parking lot every day, including Penfield High School students in their red athletic apparel. What would the mothers and fathers of Penfield High School think if there was a warrant for the arrest of a Penfield High School student for walking through that parking lot? Because I have the same rights as a Penfield High School student. $67,000 cop from hell, Shannon Meyer. Fire her ass immediately, Todd Baxter. You're not going to do anything because you love to surround yourself with corruption. So, corruption is my life when this is left, and what you've done to me. So, everything I said here, I've said on YouTube previously. I do not know, since I'm doing this now, how many of these Freedom of Information Law documents I will attach in PDF. But everyone I read, the 143 that I showed up, I hope to attach every single one there. And I'm going to look, I believe, for the entrance to Penfield Town Court here on my iPhone. And you can see what you're sending me into, Todd Baxter, Sandra. But this is also what I was looking for the other day. This is the parking lot. This is the parking lot that every single citizen of the 36,000 in Penfield Town, in Penfield, New York, can walk through without a warrant for their arrest. Every single citizen in Monroe County can walk through this parking lot without a warrant for their arrest. Every single New Yorker out of 17.9 million New Yorkers can walk through this parking lot without an arrest except for me. And you can't see it here, but that's 2025 Penfield Road, where you got your camera, your surveillance device. So, and here you are, you fellow psychopaths driving by Wegmans. I was going into Gold's Gym. I was walking by Wegmans. He drove right by me, telling your employees to stay away from this private business owned by Danny and Colleen Wegman, you psychopath, Todd Baxter, and do their jobs, please, Penfield Road. Do you understand what I'm telling you? What are they doing there? And what they're doing there is nothing. And it's a good thing that your vehicles are along the side of Wegmans that has the donuts. And what I'm demanding in the Freedom of Information Law documents, Todd Baxter, is physical fitness. Your employees are grossly out of shape and overweight, and they're placing their lives at risk, and you're placing the lives of your own employees at risk because you don't demand that they be in the required physical condition. So, This is where I live now. I've showed this previously. I don't know if you watched. I'll never know. I don't care about a handful of people at the United States Department of Justice and the governor's office. Just the consequences of an illegal eviction, where my landlord, who I believe evicted me, Giuseppe Spano, 47 years old, is now dead. And hell's not hot enough for him. So, everything I said, I attached in this PDF here. This had a PDF attached to it. It's November 28th, I believe. I can't see it here, just looking at it. So, you have all this information. From me, Todd Baxter, I walked into the Penfield Public Library. And I don't know being followed. Your employee with the last name Siemens and the Monroe County Sheriff Office employee walked into Penfield Public Library, stood up at the terminal. He ran at me, held out his arm. He clotheslined me. I fell down. He fell on top of me. He punched me when I was down on the ground. The other guy kicked me when I was down on the ground. I'm being violently attacked at Penfield Public Library with your fellow psychopath with the last name Siemens. And they take me down the hall. Paul C. Metzer was waiting for me without a prosecutor from the district attorney's office present. Of course, there's no jury, there's no witness box for testimony, there's no table for a prosecutor, there's no table for a defense attorney. She declares me guilty of something that I don't know, and then I'm driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. And when I get to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, I'm told by an employee at the jail that I cannot be at Monroe County Jail because I'll be attacked. Not by inmates, by Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that work at the jail. I was at Livingston County Jail, and I was walking to go to the hallway to exit the jail area I was in. And a man is walking toward me. He jumped on top of another inmate. He put him in a headlock. He pounded him on top of the head. The Livingston County employees, the jail employees came running right through the door. I was about to exit and broke it up immediately. But for the 30 seconds or 60 seconds I was watching this, he had him in a headlock and he was pounding him on the head. And it was broken up. And the guy that was being attacked, the victim, just laid on the floor, and I could see blood on the floor where his head was. And then a state investigator, I believe it's a state investigator, could be a county investigator, came and asked to speak to me. And I sat down with this man for 60 minutes, telling him what I watched about this violent attack. And I signed a statement with my name on it, where I told him everything. He asked me question after question. It's a thorough interview with this investigator, but nothing came of it. And I don't know if, in fact, this violent attack that I'm a witness to, and I gave a statement for and was interviewed for, became a criminal charge or court appearance. This is why I cite this, Todd Baxter. What's the state of violence at Monroe County Jail? Because I was also attacked at Monroe County Jail. I was in my cell, and your employee, whose name I believe, I know, but I'm not going to say because I don't have certainty. I'm writing down everything I see on a pad, just like this pad right here. There's a big pad at the jail. And he came into my jail cell, Monroe County Jail. He tried to grab my pad. I pulled it away. He grabbed my left arm, jammed my left arm up my back. I released the pad, and he exited my jail cell. And then he's walking around the jail reading what I wrote. I've said this on YouTube previously. I've not written it in writing. So I've been attacked at Monroe County Jail because you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley. I've attacked at Livingston County Jail because you, Todd Baxter, and you, Sandra Doorley. And there's no accountability for these violent attacks. I've been attacked at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans when you sent your 5 employees and 10 plus fellow psychopaths, and I had to get an MRI for which I was billed. And the witness to this violent attack upon me at Wegmans is your female employee with the Marine-style haircut and the tattoos, who I subsequently saw and said, you saw a violent attack upon me at Wegmans. So what's the name of your employee that violently attacked me with the 10-plus witnesses that a Monroe County Sheriff Office employee, including this female employee, and you're in existence stole cold silence because you're corrupt, Todd Baxter, and you believe in violence on innocent citizens. So, now, I don't know how I'm going to send this to you, what email address I'm going to choose, but I'll have a new email address so you can't block me. I'm buying phones so I can create new email addresses so you can't block me, because I know I have been blocked. I can tell when I'm blocked. So, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, this YouTube is at 34 minutes. I'm going to say again, as I conclude, where you send this information that I'm demanding, including the names of my prosecutors. 620 Park Avenue, PNB, 361 Rochester, New York. In fact, I'm not going to conclude because I'm going to read these. I'm going to read these as quickly as possible because this is attached. And I probably won't comment on them because sometimes I will read it and tell you what I think about your repulsive existence. This is Freedom of Information Law. Send me this information. The internal disciplinary records documentation employed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. Sheriff Todd K. Baxter is reprimanded, terminated, disemployment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Freedom of Information Law. The internal disciplinary records documentation employs the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That District Attorney Sandra Doorley is disciplinary, reprimanded, and terminated employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, well paid beyond base salaries calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, well paid beyond base salaries calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office of Sandra Doorley. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter expended taxpayer dollars on employment-related discrimination lawsuits for failure to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley expended taxpayer dollars on employment-related discrimination lawsuits for failure to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The cost of a surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter and affixed to a building at 2025 Penn Road to monitor Christopher Chichester, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, Wall Street Park lot next to the building. The cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter to photograph 10 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees underwater in a pool. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee Ryan Fisher who attended Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019. What are the physical training standards or requirements of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter? The day and year Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter rehired Michael Radler after his 20-plus year career with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office ended. The name and charge of every inmate in Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter's Monroe County Jail from January 1, 2018 to November 28, 2022. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Pembroke Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for Paul C. Metzer in Pembroke Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Doorley. A list of defendants in Pembroke Town Court for Paul C. Metzler. A list of defendants in Pembroke Town Court for James White Jr. A list of defendants in Pembroke Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr. A list of defendants in New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. The cost of taxpayers for all travel out of Monroe County, New York State by employees of Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. The cost of taxpayers for all travel out of Monroe County, New York State by employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Cost of a trip to Watkins Glen by Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. You're going to Watkins Glen, you skinhead stooge, you party switching criminal. Did you stay in a hotel? Who did you bring with you to Watkins Glen? When I tell Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli to ask you those questions, you'll still refuse to answer. Do you, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, think that this is monopoly money that funds your repulsive existence? Do you, Sandra Doorley, go to these conferences? Do you, Todd Baxter, go to these conferences? What am I talking about? I see conferences all the time on television with individuals in law enforcement talking about defendants and cases and situations. What's the answer? And you'll refuse to answer. How do you think you're going to survive scrutiny by the New York State Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli and employees at the Department of Justice by Kristen Clark when I inform them you're just refusing to comply with every single one of those Freedom of Information Law documents I read and every other FOIA that I've read? Look how many are in here. The number is 183 I'm holding in my hand. You haven't complied with any because you're corrupt. So, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, comply with every single Freedom of Information Law document I have read and send the information I'm demanding, including my prosecutor's assignment, so I can begin proceedings with the appellate division to spar each to 620 Park Avenue, PNB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. My name is Christopher Chichester. Liberty is the soul's right to breathe. I'm an innocent man.